Hey Scorpio, Ali from Indigo Ascension. Welcome to your weekly quick read for the week beginning October the 4th. Now, there's quite a lot going on, so I wanted to try and keep things a little bit simple for the quick reads this week. Firstly, just focusing on that new moon in your sign. And the other astrological aspect I wanted to focus on is all of these placements in Libra. We've had quite a lot. Now, the new moon falls on the 6th, and that's happening in your sign, Scorpio. So in many ways, under the light of this new moon, there's going to be an inner pull from you guys desiring something new, that desire for change, that desire to finally take that step, make that choice, say no, whatever the case may be. This is all about you. And there's been some very big focus within yourself as far as the planet Venus, when that moved into Scorpio as well. So this has been sort of hanging around in the background. So I want you to rewind to 2 weeks ago when Venus moved into your sign. Something may have sparked, something may have started. It could have been an idea, it could have been an issue or a challenge. Something was perhaps in the beginning stage, or at least, you know, arrived in your awareness as far as what you would like to begin. Now, like all of us, you know, we've all sat around and and ahed, you know, that one step forward, 2 steps back is a very human way in which we deal with change and trying out new experiences or exploring new versions of ourselves, whatever the case may be. So maybe this has been sitting in the background in some way. This new moon is going to want to push us ever closer to whatever it was that arose 2 weeks ago. So for you, this is all falling in your first house, and it's all about you, this new version of you. And if you look back, the version of you that you were at the start of this year is very different to the version of you at your last birthday last year, okay? So we've come full circle in many ways. This new moon is pushing us into that trajectory. The other thing is all of those placements in Libra has been highlighting your 12th house. So when I'm looking at 12th house and 1st house energies, there's very much an old you versus new you energy playing out, and that's unique for each Scorpio. The story that pertains to is going to be unique in different ways. You know, so for the most part, collectively, maybe many Scorpios were feeling this push-pull energy between this old version of yourself and a new version of yourself. But this new moon in your sign is going to want to pull you ever closer to the future version of self. Doesn't matter how big or small those changes and choices are. What I wanted to do with the reading structure today, or this week, for this week's readings I should say, is look at as above, so below. Because obviously when we're working with retrograde energy, it can take quite a while to gestate. All this inner work that I talk about, this soul work that happens, more often than not, Scorpio, outside of that inner journey into soul, into temple, into self, is probably always triggered by something that happens outside of self. We're all too familiar with what it feels like to have, you know, shifting sands, changing our footing, to have outside circumstances, decisions by others put upon us, so that we are then forced to make a choice about where to from here. So this as above, so below structure is how I want to do the readings for this week's quick reads. And I'm just going to simply do that with 2 different tarot decks, okay? So your regular Rider-Waite tarot deck, and of course, this one that I've recently come across, which is the Journey Tarot. I really like how bright and uplifting the images and artworks are, and I find it quite interesting how the artist has depicted traditional tarot cards. Okay, so what we have is the Hangman, the 7 of Swords, and the 9 of Wands. What I want to say for a lot of Scorpios that I'm connecting into, where have you allowed yourself, or perhaps even deceived yourself into holding back from truly creating a new perception around something significant? Okay, you guys are balancing the line between 1st house and 12th house energy. It's certainly no easy energy to navigate. There's something here about a timeout, and maybe this has happened, maybe it's currently happening, maybe you're desiring for it to happen, but there was something highly of benefit when this Hangman energy came about, okay? I'm going to even take you back to last December. That led you into this July. There was a portal there, a chapter perhaps, where you were integrating both simultaneous letting go and also welcoming the new, or at least umming and ahhing with some thoughts and ideas around that. Okay, so last December to this July was a very significant period for a lot of you, and perhaps in many ways, you know, in yourself you were holding back a little. The message here from the tarot in many ways, Scorpio, is to no longer hold back. Do not deceive yourself anymore. This time out has been worth it. This shift in perception has come about for a reason. Maybe who you are today, the thoughts you have. Last week's readings focused strongly on Mercury being retrograde, along with all of these planets in air signs, okay? This shift in perception was necessary, okay? Maybe this is the energy that's been permeating for a lot of you guys. Be selfish. Allow yourself to be selfish. That's the other positive news or positive message of the Seven of Swords. Traditionally, you know, we look at that as, yep, that's selfish behavior, that's betrayal behavior, you know, but sometimes things don't just happen outside of ourselves. Sometimes they have to happen within. The encouragement in a positive note then from the Seven of Swords is to be selfish. Allow yourself to no longer hold back. Say yes to life. Say yes to that change. Say no to old versions of what life used to look like, that you're ready to let go of. The other cards I have pulled in the Journey Tarot cards is the Devil, the Hanged One. You've literally, this shift in perception has doubled up. This message about the hangman, this message about the shift in perception as amplified, as above, so below, okay? Your shifts, like this, I'm connecting to a lot of Scorpios that literally have changed beliefs around a key area of life, around this version of yourself that you're wanting to be compared to the version of yourself you used to be, okay? So I've doubled up this, and look at this, like it's just a beautiful contemporary version of the Hangman card. See how both of them, like you can't really see her face, but you do get the sense that as much as she looks a little bit uncomfortable, and we can be suspended throughout our life in a number of metaphysical, emotional, or mental ways, there's something here about, perhaps for many of you, you got quite used to this change, okay, or this desire to change. The Devil card is when we deal with the shadow, when we deal with the shadow self, not just the shadow aspects of life and circumstances, dealing with the devil within. Sometimes that's being triggered by dealing with the devil without, when we're dealing with that in circumstances that challenge us, that push us to go in. You know, that's why I wanted to structure these readings like in a way that sort of looks at as above, so below. Highly significant cards here. And the Four of Cups talks about the focus on all that was lost. In the traditional tarot, there's a character here that's sort of looking at all that had been, the good times, the happy times, and for the life of him, he can't see the one cup that's being offered by the divine. If you want to interpret the old traditional tarot decks like that, there's a hand coming out of a cloud, and a cup is being offered that he's not looking at. And in this tarot deck, I like how there's something here about a moon cycle, one full month, okay, maybe the last month. You've been processing these transformational energies. You've really been, and like I said, you're working with 1st house and 12th house energies collectively. There's no easy feat about that. This is about a choice between the old version of you and the new version of you, and what you choose to focus on, all right, under the light of this new moon. Perhaps it's going to take a couple of weeks for this to truly gestate for a lot of the Scorpios out there. All right, Scorp, that was your quick read for the week beginning October the 4th. I hope you got something out of that. I have relaunched personal reading sessions. You'll find that in the bio link above. Until next week, my friend, have an empowered week and take care.